one of the key things when you start creating online is to pick a format that you really enjoy, because at the beginning, you're not going to get traction. You're not going to get that dopamine hit of like, hey, yeah, I got 10,000 views today, or I got 100,000 views, or my post went viral, or, I got like 10 people messaging me saying that my content was awesome. At the beginning, you're going to post and you're going to hear crickets. You want to do something that you enjoy, because if you do something that you hate and you don't get any reward for it, then you're not going to get that feedback loop to keep you going. Like, you're probably going to stop after a couple days or a couple weeks, a long time before you would get any kind of results. So I started looking at Justin Welsh content, Austin Belsack's content, like, the really big guys. I started looking at their posts, and then I sat down in front of their posts and I would be like, okay, why are their posts really good? Like, what makes their posts good? And so then I kind of like extracted some principles that they have. So for example, one thing that they do is that they make everything extremely simple. Like, they use very simple words, very simple sentences. They're focused on one thing, so that way you don't get distracted. So then I took those principles and I kind of put it into my my post. And at first, what I would do is that I would take Justin's post and then I would rewrite it my way, like, talking about my stuff, but, using the very same style. And then I would just put it out there. So I just kind of took the structure, took his words out, put my words in, put it out there. And it worked. So I thought to myself, okay, so this guy knows what he's doing. I should probably follow him. The most common strategy on LinkedIn is a funnel strategy. So it's pretty much you have top of funnel content, which is going to talk about your personal life, about entrepreneurship, about career, like, the big topics to get a ton of attention, and like it pretty much casts a very wide net on LinkedIn and try to get as many people as you can. Then you're going to have middle of the funnel content, which is going to be more about your niche, like, kind of showing your expertise or something. And then you're going to have bottom of the funnel content, which is going to be super specific and aimed at converting people for your business pretty much. So people follow you because, number one, they like your post. Number two, they feel that after seeing your post, you're going to post more content that's going to be valuable for them. They don't want to miss it. So the thing is, if you post something about, like, for example, a very inspiring story about something personal, this is great. You're going to get a ton of attention. But then if you are a random person on LinkedIn, you're going to think, do I want to get a ton more content like this from this person down the line? And some people will say yes, but I think a lot of people will say no, it's going to be a one-shot kind of post. However, if every single day people see you in the feed and you give extremely actionable advice about something that they need, then they're going to be like, you know what, I better be following this guy because I'm going to learn a ton of stuff from him. And so they click follow, and then every single day they get something. I think that's why the follower count really went up.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I guess the only other thing, I guess, that I feel like that you do really well, and also Justin Welsh does, that you didn't really mention there, is kind of get that emotional response as well, right? You're obviously offering value, but you want people to feel like, yeah, that touches me in some way. A lot of consumers, I guess, and followers on LinkedIn are not necessarily going through that step-by-step process of like, do I want to see this in my feed every day? It's just a kind of feeling that, does this guy get me? You've done that really, really well on LinkedIn.
If you're thinking of quitting on LinkedIn, you have to do one thing. Number one thing is figure out who exactly your target audience is. So once you know who your target audience is, you have to think about demographic profile, like, how old they are they men or women, where do they live, what do they do for a living, what's their income, stuff like that. So you need to have a very detailed, like, it's almost like you're able to build an avatar of the person you're talking to. Once you have that, you have to figure out their problems, because everybody has problems. And, humans are very selfish people. We have problems and we want them solved. And that's the very same thing on LinkedIn. People are going to consume content because they're going to look for solutions to their problems. And so what you want is pretty much solve the problems of your audience through your content. If you are very specific about who you're targeting and you're really solving the problems at a very granular level and a very specific level, people are going to notice you at one point or another. And you're going to be known as the go-to person for these kind of people to solve the problem you solve. And that's where you win. Now, is it going to happen overnight? No. Like LinkedIn is a place you have to focus like 3 to 6 months until you get any value from it. Just because of the way the platform is, just because, you need to add, you need to be pretty strategic on who you network with so that you can get the right kind of people in your audience. You also need to build the relationships so that way you can get on Zoom calls with people and they can send you some business, or they can refer you if they hear of anyone needing your services. So it is a long-term process. The key is you have to really focus on your audience and make the content about your audience and not about yourself. Because the moment you make it about yourself, then people are going to be like, hey, he's not talking about me. I'm interested in him talking about me. Why would I bother about this guy? I don't create posts every single day. What I do do is pretty much I sit down twice a week and I just write a bunch of posts, and then I just put them in an application called Buffer, which is free up to 10 posts. So, you can have like pretty decent wait list. What I do is pretty much I put them in a system, and then Buffer is going to post them for me on LinkedIn. I kind of approach my content as a TV show. So I schedule it in a way like, okay, Flo, he's going to post at 7:30 a.m. Eastern every single day, no matter what. I know if I log into LinkedIn at 7:30 a.m., I'm going to see his post. Use a scheduling app so that you can kind of like bulk create your posts. You can schedule them so that you don't have to worry about being consistent. Have a ID repository. You're going to see things throughout the week, like, situations that happen at work, something that happens to a client, something that happens to a colleague, interesting video you watch on YouTube about whatever you're doing. You're going to read an interesting book. And pretty much every single time you have an idea, you have to put it somewhere. So you can pre-schedule it in Buffer, like, hey, I'm going to write a post about this, or you can put it in a Notion page. Just having a place where you can jot down ideas really quickly. So that way, when you sit down and bulk create your post, you already have maybe like 8 to 10 post topics that are already that are already made for you. And all you have to focus on is actually expanding on those topics and writing posts out of them. You don't have to come up with 10 ideas every single time.